afternoon to all of you. Good afternoon to the friends, those who have joined online as well. Okay, today we will be discussing about use of drones in agriculture. I am Dr. Raja, Principal Scientist working in Central Institute for Cotton Research. So, just adjacent to TNAU campus, our institute is situated. Originally, it was started as a PIRCOM Institute, Project Intensification of Regional Research on Cotton, Oilseeds and Millets. Okay, in 1959. Many of the people here knows this institute as a PIRCOM Institute. Later in 1965, it became a regional station of Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi. Then when they started this All India Coordinated Research Program on cotton, then it became the headquarters. Past 50 years, it served as the headquarter of AICRP on cotton. Okay. So in 1976, when ICR established Central Institute for Cotton Research at Nagpur, Maharashtra, this station became a regional station for the Southern Zone. Southern Zone covers 4 states, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Telangana and Karnataka. We are taking care of the varietal development, production technology development, and all other aspects related to cotton. Okay, so this is a brief introduction about my institute wherein I am working. Actually, I am alumni of this institute. Actually, in the very same hall, ours is the very first batch to use the LCD projector to take Friday seminars. Okay, so now the technology development is so rapid, we can't imagine what was the days, those times. Before our batch, all used to use that overhead projector. We will write the slides on the OHP sheets, we will project like that. So it's a great advancement. So today also, we will also discuss about something about sensors. Okay. So if you see the sustainable development goals proposed by the United Nations, agriculture plays a very important role to achieve these goals. If you see the first and second goal, you see no poverty, no hunger. To achieve this goal, we have to produce lot of food grains, because to feed everyone, we need to produce more and more of food grain. Okay. And agriculture is also important because worldwide, 30% of the energy, 33% of the land use, and 70% of the groundwater is being used for agricultural purposes. So can we produce whatever we need? It is having lot of challenges because we are having ever increasing population growth. By 2050, we may far exceed 8 billion people in the world. And dietary changes are happening, vegetarian to non-vegetarian. Then the energy required to produce a unit non-vegetarian food is much higher than a unit of vegetarian food. Those kind of things. And we are diverting the food grains for some other purposes like biofuels. Recently, when sugarcane production was dropping, Government of India, what they did, earlier there was a provision, sugarcane juice itself they can use for algal production. But now they stopped using sugarcane juice for algal production. Only molasses can be used for algal production. Because we are blending algal with petrol, so our target is 20% blending. But right now it is around 10% only. So what government has given a relaxation, maize can be used for production of alcohols. So our food grain is being diverted for some other purpose. That also adds pressure for the production system. Then we lose a lot of produced food grains in the process of field to plate. There are so many post-harvest losses. So if you want to explain any pointers, okay, I will use this. So you see the population growth, the energy supply as well as cereal production. This gray color is depicting the global, and the blue one is developed countries, the orange one is developing countries. You see, developing countries, we are having so much of population and projected population growth as well. Whereas the developed countries, the population is already stabilized. They won't have much of the problem. But we need to produce more because our population is expected to grow further more, right? Like that, the energy also, well, developed countries are well placed, whereas in developing countries, we need to improve our energy uptake also, because malnourishment and all those things. Like that production also, developing countries are at receiving end. So whatever technologies we used so far, the so-called green revolution technologies, the improved genotypes, highly fertilizer responsive, input responsive varieties, and all other inputs, agrochemicals, be it mechanization, are bringing more area under irrigation. All these things continuously contributed towards achieving food sustainability in most of the countries, especially in our countries. But is it sustainable on the resource base? Is it having any deleterious effect? Yes, the green revolution technologies helped us to achieve food self-sufficiency, but on the resource base, both soil and water, it is having lot of negative impact. Okay, so in many of the cases, the productivity per unit area, already we reached the maximum peak. Either it is plateaued or in some cases it is started declining. So if you want to produce further more, as well as if you want to maintain the resource base intact with a better quality, then we should go for agri-tech revolution based technologies for producing in the more. So that's why they are telling it is a next gen smart agriculture, those kind of thing. So in that, most of the things they are telling precise delivery, precise pinpointing of the issues, and how to enhance the use efficiency of whatever inputs we are giving, like nanotechnology or precision farming technologies. Those technologies should be efficient, they should be sustainable, as well as they should be climate resilient, because we all know climate change is having its own effect on food production system. So whatever latest technology comes into play, it should have a resilience inbuilt, right? So that's why they are telling these agri tech revolution may help us to produce more food while preserving the resource base. Okay. As a student of agronomy, we always know when we talk about sensors, we know two things: either remote sensing using satellites, or proximal or ground based sensing units like our spade meter or chlorophyll meter or our green seeker kind of thing, right? So remote sensing satellites mostly used for a larger area. Okay, they helped us to estimate what is the acreage under different crops, what is the cropping system, all those things. And our country, we are having array of satellites for different purposes, be it for meteorological purpose, be it for cropping system mapping purpose, or yield forecasting, all those things. And we are having very high resolution satellites also. Even today in Hindu newspaper, you might have seen Nisar satellite launch has been postponed for some reason. Nisar is NASA India synthetic aperture radar satellite, which will give a very high resolution data at weekly or 15 days interval for the entire world. Okay, so those kind of things are happening. So lot of data are available, but inherently the problem with satellite data is everyone cannot use. Some specialists can use. At times it is costly as well. Okay. So the alternate thing is what most of the agronomy professionals, agronomists, they started using these kind of handheld devices to assess a point data rather than a spatial data. We used to take point data, from that we infer something and we recommend the things like this. So this is the progress. If you see, starting from spad meter, green seeker and all those things, this is proximal, just nearer to the crop surface, on the ground surface, or just 2-3 feet or 5 feet above the ground surface. Mostly used handheld or on the tractor mounted sensors being used for these things. So the advent of these drones, no, they brought in a new tool in our hand. Okay, so satellite is space borne, proximal one is ground based. So in between airborne, these drones, you can fly at it even 30 meter, 20 meter, 50 meter, whatever height you want. There are different kind of drones. So they give you a option to go for a high resolution spatial based sensing. Okay, so the main advantages of drones: First slide itself, I have put what is drone? Dynamic remotely operated navigation equipments. So, okay, drones, they are calling it with different names. Somebody call it as a drone, somebody UAV, then somebody remotely piloted vehicle. So many synonyms are being used, but most of the thing, it serves as a platform to carry some sensors so that you can make observations or you can take images of whatever purpose you are intending, right? So the advantage of drones are real-time data availability. Okay, today I want to do, you fly the drone, you download the image, so it is readily available and flexible. So today morning I am having some other work. Okay, afternoon I can take, but satellite is fixed. So when the revisiting period is there, you have to see their schedule, then you can take the imagery or you have to wait for the next visit. Okay, that drones give that flexibility and comparatively low cost, and you can adjust the spatial resolution and spectral resolution as well as temporal resolution. I want once in a week, I can fly the drone and I can collect the data. No, I need only once. You can do accordingly. Okay. Am I okay? I am going in a correct speed or I have to go slow? Is it okay? Right. So if you see the drones, initially drones are being used exclusively for military purposes. You can't believe 1916, World War I, they started using some kind of system which resembles to drone, which is controlled with radio signals, right? So this is how they started. Then in the 50s and 60s, Cold War era, mostly reconnaissance, just for secret survey of areas they used, and 80s and 90s, most of the components were miniaturized so that the size of the drone became smaller and the efficiency become much better, right? In 2000s, this GPS, no? You know what is GPS? Global positioning system. Earlier, for military exclusively they used, they never allowed for civilian usages. Then with little bit of additional factors, they won't give exact accuracy, what Google Map and all we are getting. That is not very accurate, but with some known error, they started giving for civilian use. Okay. If you pay paid version of Google Map, if you take, you will get much better accuracy, right? Military grade accuracy you will never get with your handheld GPS receiver or with your mobile phone and all, right? So when they made GPS available, most of the drones became for recreational purposes, autonomous flights became possible. Okay. So then aerial photography and videography after 2010 and all, most of the people, photography has taken a not even U-turn, 360 degree or 180 degree opposite. The era of that films and all gone. Digital photography, then digital videography, that camera and all they dumped. Now it is straight away handheld miniature drones, isn't it? Like that. So 2020, most of the industries, they started using drones, right? So in case of agriculture, if you see, there are many applications, right? From sowing to harvest, as well as to assess the soil parameters. What is the water, soil moisture status? What is the crop condition? What is the pest and disease incidence? So those kind of things we can use it. And in one of the review article, they very well documented what for all and what are all the things. It is available in computers and electronics journal. Okay, very good review. Bibliometric review. This is what that time also we were telling, no? Scientometric review means what are all the publication made on a particular aspect, they will make a review. So most of the latest articles and all, they will review and write a thing. So if you read this article, you need not study 50 articles. So those kind of thing, you can see, enhances the temporal and spatial resolution. What is temporal resolution? Time based, isn't it? Either it is 15 days or weekly or monthly, that kind of thing. Spatial is whether it is 5 meter by 5 meter resolution or 1 meter by 1 meter, like how closely you can observe on the ground, right? Then precision agriculture, it facilitates. Then classification, acreage, then use of fertilizers, precision farming, precision nutrient application, drought monitoring, biomass estimation and yield estimation, then disaster reduction, then wildlife and forestry, then water stress assessment, pest, weed and disease detection. So many things are there from agriculture perspective, right? So if you see a drone, it is not a single entity. There are three things involved if you want to use a drone for agriculture purpose. The drone, what you are seeing is a simple vehicle. It is a platform. Okay. On that vehicle, you have to attach some sensors. It may be a RGB camera or a multispectral camera or a hyperspectral camera, whatever. So the sensor is separate, the drone is separate. The third one, you captured the images, then you have to process it, isn't it? So you have to use some software to process the imageries. So many commercially available softwares as well as open source softwares are available. They are Fix4D, AGSoft, Drone Deploy, even our ArcGIS, ESRI, then QGIS. These things can be very well used for analysis of these drone images. Okay. You be clear with this particular part so that we can proceed to the next presentation, which will cover about the platforms, sensors and software part. Okay. Everyone clear? Okay. The main intention of putting these slides, all of you will get used to know what is what, so that when you go out, you can't be a foreigner for a topic which is very much related to you. My request to agronomy department is to add at least one GIS course to the students. Basics of GIS or remote sensing. As an agronomist, if you go and say, I don't know about remote sensing, I don't know about GIS, now we will be obsolete. Nobody will want you to hear. So when technology is going in so much fast pace, we should develop our capacity. Basics of GIS. What is a datum? What is a pixel? This one. How to do the area of interest? How to use a software? Open source software is available. QGIS and all. So if you are having interest, you can learn, right? So the vehicle, the platform, what we are telling, the UAV or drone, right? So it is either fixed wing or a rotary wing, right? And there is a combination of both. It is hybrid wing. Okay. Fixed wing, it is not having any rotor. It is like a aeroplane, right? So what is the advantage? They can have high endurance. It can fly hours together, right? It can cover a lot of area, but it needs more power. And as well as takeoff is not easy. Maybe you might have seen remote sensing. They are having one fixed wing. Our ground only they will use. While starting, they will throw like this. With that velocity, it will take off, right? Like an aeroplane. But the advantage, it can cover entire village or a block. Okay. When the cyclone effect was there in Tanjore, TNA remote sensing, they used their fixed wing drone only to do the assessment, especially for coconut plantations. Based on their assessment only, they have given compensation. Then rotary wing, like a helicopter, there will be rotors. So if it is 3 rotors, it is tri, 4 quad. If it is 6, what it is called? 6 rotors are there, what it is called? Hexa. Okay, it is written there, right? At least I thought you will be following. I am just cross checking, right? So if it is 8, it is octa. So hybrid is, it is having both the thing. For takeoff and landing, it will use the rotors. Then once it took off, then it will use the fixed wing. Thereby, it will use minimum energy. It can cover more area. Based on the weight, they have categorized it into nano drones, small drone, micro drones, small drone, medium drone, large drone. I have given some examples also. This DJI Mavic Mini and all, what these videographers in functions and all they are using, no? Very miniature size, 50,000 to 1.5 lakh. You will get the best of the one. That kind of things are there. And yes, 120 kg, 600 kg weight also there. They use for military purposes. Okay. So based on the weight, we are categorizing like this. And based on the weight, the height at which you can fly, that also differ. The nano, you can't fly at 100-meter height. You can fly only up to 15 meters. The micro one, we can go up to 60 meters. All other thing. There are some regulations from Government of India. So if you want to use nano, straight away you can use. You need not do anything. But other than that, all other thing, you should have a drone piloting license as well as one unique number. You have to register with the DGCA. They will give that number. So based on that only you can fly your drone, right? So then where and all you can fly the drone? You can't fly it everywhere. Fortunately, TNAU is in the outskirts of yellow zone. That's why we could able to use the drones whenever we want. If it is red zone, nearer to airport and all, just ahead of Hope College, you can't fly your drones because it is coming under red zone. As well as height wise also, after 400 feet, you can't fly most of the drones unless otherwise you get a prior permission. So there are rules and regulations which guides what should be the, if it is green zone, there is no issue. You can use it, right? If it is no fly zone, like our parliamentary buildings, then international borders, 25 kilometers, you can't use it. Then some protected areas, military establishments, you can't fly, right? Your drone will not take off for that matter. Then registration, I told about that UNI number, right? So these are all the entities which manufactures the drones. Only I want you to concentrate here. You see, these are all the countries they are making. This DJI is from Hong Kong, basically Chinese, but from Hong Kong. All other thing you see, USA, UK, Switzerland, all developed countries. Now India is taking up production of indigenous one, though the components are coming from this one, but they are putting a lot of effort to make India also as a hub for manufacturing our own drones. Okay, so you can see how they are progressing, right? One part is over. So platforms, can you say two types of rotary drones? Anyone? Okay, right. So all are listening, right? So next one is sensors. Okay, drone is just a vehicle. You can go by Maruti 800 or you can go by Honda City. But what purpose you are going, that really matters. So what you are going to put a sensor on your drone, that really matters. Okay. So there are different kinds of sensors. Simple RGB sensor, what we are taking this normal photographs now, that combines red, green, blue band. That's why we got that RGB images. What you are getting in your mobile phone, it is a RGB image. Okay. So if you segment your image, you can divide it into red, green, blue bands, your ordinary photos, right? Then thermal, then multispectral, then hyperspectral, then LIDAR, it is laser based, then microwave radiometer. If you see here, these are all passive remote sensing, where the reflected energy is captured by the sensor, right? Like our normal remote sensing satellite light. Whatever light falling on the subject, it reflects back, the sensor captures. They are called passive remote sensing or reflected energy capturing sensor, right? If you see here our multispectral, all those things will come in this range from visible to near infrared. That spectrum only comes in this, right? Then under cloudy conditions and all, most of the time your remote sensing satellite, you will have cloud cover only because the reflected light won't reach the sensor. So those kind of thing, people are using microwave satellites. So it will send its own energy. Then how much energy is coming back, it will calculate. So those kind of things are called active energy based or emitted energy based sensors. So your part of hyperspectral as well as LIDAR microwave radiometers comes under this. See, there is one famous saying here. Whoever will control the electromagnetic spectrum, they will win the next war. This is how the world is going. Okay. The days have gone. If you are having nuclear bomb, you can win the war and all, gone. So electromagnetic spectrum is very, very important, right? So recently, March 18th, 19th and 20th in New Delhi, there was a conference, Ministry of Telecommunication and ICAR jointly they organized this program, revolutionizing agriculture, the digital transformation of farming, right? He is Dr. R.M. Sahu, IARI, he is remote sensing specialist. So they have displayed lot of sensors. So this one, what you are seeing is normal mica sense multispectral sensor. This one is DJI multispectral. The other one, if you see here, this one is hyperspectral. Okay. So this hyperspectral, if you want to cover from 400 nanometer to 2500 nanometer, it is 4 crores, including the drone. It costs about 4 crores. Okay. If, okay, I want to have a nano type, 400 nanometers to 1000 nanometer, it's almost 1 crore. But with hyperspectral, you can do lot of research. So things are becoming less costlier, but still hyperspectral and all bit costlier sensor only. Okay. So this is the vehicle on which they will mount and it will fly. Okay. So lot of happenings are there in agriculture, use of drones in agriculture, right? So what kind of sensor we can use for what issues? For example, if you want to monitor moisture stress, then you can either use multispectral, hyperspectral, or thermal infrared sensors you can use. Okay, thermal sensors, right? If you want to study nutrients, hyperspectral is great. Otherwise, your RGB as well as multispectral also will be useful. Okay. What is multispectral and hyperspectral? I will tell very rough way. It is not exactly this one. Multispectral, we are talking about minimum number of bands in a specific wavelength, right? Red, green, blue, NIR, red edge, that kind of thing. Okay. Maybe 10 nanometer thickness or 20 nanometer bandwidth, we will have 5 to 10 bands. That is called multispectral. But hyperspectral, the entire spectrum range, it will have many images as a continuous one, maybe 3 nanometer continuously up to that one. So when hyperspectral comes, I will explain. So hyperspectral is far superior and it is big data. Okay. Multispectral is moderate. So then disease monitoring, again, all these things can be used. Heat detection, then spraying, only we need one velocity control as well as direction control. Okay. These kind of things are required. So again, what are all the cameras available and who is manufacturing? Just I have listed out. Okay. So now we have discussed about the vehicle as well as sensors. Okay. So now we have to understand how the image is being captured. You want to go to a field and you want to capture the image. So there is a process called uh, planning, flight planning. Okay. So mission planning. So they are giving a software. So in that, if you mark the borders of the area where you want to make an image, then it is very easy. It is not very tough. Nowadays, very user friendly. So there are many aspects in flight planning, but I will try to skip it, or you want to listen. So like there are different ways. If it is a rectangular type, you can go in a grid way. You start from here, come here, then it will finish here. Otherwise, crisscross we can do. If the field shape is polygon type, you can plan accordingly. And if it is a electric tower and all, you can go in a circular pattern. These kind of options are available, as well as the height at which you want to fly your drone. It is governed by ground sampling distance. What resolution you want? You want 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, your altitude will be less. If you want 5 centimeter by 5 centimeter, you can fly still higher. So the idea is when it is closer, the area of coverage is smaller, but your resolution is high. But if you take to a higher altitude, like 40 meter or 100 meter, you can cover bigger area, but the detail will be coarse. So this is how we have to do. Then one component is there, overlapping. Forward overlap as well as side overlapping. This is important. Why? Because you can't stitch two images just like that. So one image, another image should have minimum 75% of the image as a common area. This is frontal overlap. Likewise, sideways also you should have minimum 75%. So normally they do 80, 75 like that. Okay, minimum 75% of two images should overlap so that the processing software will pick out 40,000 or 25,000 points and they will merge both the images. So for that purpose, this is required. So there are some pre-processing things. This is the mission planning app. Based on that, you can just mark which area you want to fly. Then you fly the drone. Okay. So it goes and it completes mostly autonomous type. So it comes back, right? Then it is having a SD card. So the images are stored. You download. The one what you have seen is a multispectral. So multispectral here, 5 bands are red, green, blue, MIR and red edge, like that 5 bands. So each photo will have 5 different bands, right? One more is RGB for our convenience. They kept the sixth sensor as a RGB. So then we can use either Fix 4D or AGSoft image processing software. So it will take, there are different steps. Based on that, you will create a single image of the field. So the entire area will be made into a single image. So then you can do whatever analysis you want to do. So based on that, you can calculate different vegetation indices. And from here, if it is your plot is here, you can extract that particular portion and you can work out what is the statistics, zonal statistics, what is the average or what is the maximum, minimum, those kind of things you can do, right? So all three parts we have covered: vehicle, sensor, how to process it, right? Clear? Okay, one or two examples I will show, then we will finish it up, right? So RGB sensor mostly used for monitoring purpose. This is our farm, okay? So we can see if we take which are all the plots, what kind of things are going on. At a regular interval, you can take and you can do some analysis as well, okay? So this is one experiment which is waterlogging experiment. The cotton crop was exposed to 10 days water stagnation versus the control. What is the difference you are seeing? So yellowing is happening, right? So you can have some treatments. After 10 days, what is the recovery? You fly the drone again. Then if it is a multispectral, then you can assess which treatment is performing better like. But for monitoring, these kind of RGB will help you, right? So this is one of our field, 1 hectare area. What you are seeing here, it's one RGB image only from the top. At the time, the drip irrigation was going on. So half of the field, you are seeing the small circles. It is the water, wetted area, right? So if you see here, nothing is visible now. But you observe here, this one particular lateral length, after some time it is not working, right? So if it is 10-acre area, you need not visit each lateral. If you are having this one and if you are having some code written for this, it will automatically tell on that particular place your irrigation line is damaged, you do it. Or if it is 10 acres of sourcan field, so if the crop is drying in the middle, you need not enter and see. You can just fly it over and you can see, right? So like that, with RGB, you can work out different indices also. Be blue NDVI. So in IARI, they use for wheat, rice, genotypes. So between drought as well as nitrogen treatments compared with control. So we can arrive at some conclusions, right? This is using RGB sensors. Then multispectral sensor. The basic is simple. If it is green surface, the reflectance is different. If it is yellow or dried, then the reflectance is different. This is called spectral signature of individual surface. Right? Based on that only it is working. Right? So we had one experiment where we were having graded levels of nitrogen. You are seeing here, is it visible? This is no nitrogen. This is 200% nitrogen. So there is a gradient. Then you fly your drone continuously. So we can see how it is. So there are indices like NDVRI. Then NDRE means normalized difference red edge. That red edge is around 720 nanometer, very specific for nitrogen. If you see here, I took 15 days interval all the thing. So compared to control, your NDRE value of 200 is like this. So when it is visible, right from 60 days to 90 days, you can distinguish. So this can be used as a uh, way to go for variable rate application of nitrogen. So we can develop some sufficiency index. Based on that, we can make into different zones. So if this zone is having less sufficiency, then we have to apply more nitrogen, isn't it? Like that, there are many algorithms. Many companies, they are now providing in developed countries and all, they will come, fly and recommend prescription map. They will give. They will feed that into the variable rate applicator. Developed countries, the advantage is the variable rate applicator. They use anhydrous ammonia in a liquid form. So at variable rate, if your nozzle is adjustable, double the dose, or you can close the nozzle or normal dose, at least 3 different levels you can easily do. That's how they are doing variable rate application. So using multispectral, they used for different this one. So this is for wheat field. Dr. Sahu, actually I am part of one NEPA project, network project on precision agriculture. It is ICR network project led by Dr. Sahu. 16 ICR institutes are involved. Cotton is one of them. So we interact often, but some slides I took from his presentations just for your understanding purpose, right? So then comes the hyperspectral. I was telling, no. So in hyperspectral, so X and Y is known. The Z, this one is wavelength. At 5 nanometer or 3 nanometer interval, you will have slices of information. So one slice will have a information from 400 nanometer to 2500 nanometer. So any particular thing. So you can develop n number of indices for pest and disease attack, water stress, or nutrient stress. So many things are possible. Okay, but right now it is costlier sensor. So they used in IARI research farm. You see in a vegetation the reflectance. You see here it is up to 7 in the nanometer range of 700 to 2500, like 1500. Okay, so this is how the reflectance changes for a vegetation, whereas in a bare soil you see the reflectance, it is only 0.3, only 30% of the light is reflected back. Okay, so this is how you can distinguish between a vegetation, a particular variety of crop. So those kind of things are possible, right? So if you want to really see the depth at which you can work with hyperspectral, you can see his paper, Dr. Sahu's paper, drone remote sensing of wheat nitrogen using hyperspectral and machine learning. They worked out at least to 50-100 vegetation indices. So it is free, open access, you can see it. And if you want to read about hyperspectral, he is having one review article in Current Science 2015. It is very, very, for ordinary reader they wrote. So it is very easy to understand. It is a very good material to read about hyperspectral, right? So then one more experiment. Now we have seen about nutrient management point. Another important area in which drone is being used is spraying purpose. Okay, so we had one experiment on spraying of mepicot chloride for high density planting. They are using growth regulator. So we wanted to standardize that. So we had one experiment with this spraying drone, 10-liter spraying drone. So this is our why we have to manage the canopy. We want to restrict the height of cotton crop with 1 meter or 1.2 meter so that machine picking is possible. So for that we are using chemicals like mepicot chloride, which is growth retardant. It reduces the internodal length so that the plant become short stature, right? So our objective is to see whether we can use it or not. And we had different treatments with knapsack sprayer, boom sprayer, as well as this drone. We don't want to use it with 10 liter. per acre 20 liter we kept minimum. So that with control, so it has given good result. Even this mepicot chloride we can spray with drones. So this is what we have used. So just for your understanding, whatever this area, it is having the flight controller. Most of the drones, this is the brain of the drone, which will control all the things. Okay. Some sensors also they keep for the cryoscope and all we have seen, no, which is the direction as well as the angle. So then one GPS will be always there. So this is the tank, 10 liter capacity. Nowadays 16 liters are there. In developed countries and all, I think they are using 30 liter capacity drones as well. So this is rotor blades. This is having, each one will have a one motor, DC motor, operated with two batteries. Batteries are missing here. So mostly lipo batteries, lithium poly ion batteries. Okay. So when we studied the distribution also across the canopy, how the droplets got distributed. So it has given very good result when we analyzed, and it was like we can use it for canopy management with 20 liter spray fluid per acre. Okay. Then there are a lot of standard operational procedures actually. This Professor Jaisankar, Telangana State University is the first university which brought out these guidelines actually. So it is available on the net for different crops, for different insecticide, what should be the dose, what should be the spraying height, what should be the speed, all those things they have clearly mentioned. You can go through this. So for want of time, I have not going further details. Actually, the drones are being used for sowing, for application of fertilizers, and even estimating the plant height, canopy cover. There are so many things. If you are interested, you search the literature. For each and every one, there is a methodology. So you will get lot of things. Okay. So, but drones is not solution for everything. Drone is not having any problem at all. There are many hurdles or limitations like these things. One is data security, then interoperability. Means one particular company, they will say you purchase this software, you can analyze. All runs into lakhs. So the development of open source code, that is important. Then cost, then trained manpower, trained pilots, as well as service providers. Any repair and all you have to get it done. Then stability, then the power consumption. Nowadays, this multispectral what we are having will fly about 20 minutes. Within that, it has to cover and it has to land. Otherwise, the battery won't last long. That kind of thing. Okay. So ultimately, farmers' interest also. What for I am going to use? I think in our area now, spraying drones at least they are well versed. Farmers are readily using. So many other things we have to evaluate and bring out that standard procedures. So be it herbicide pre-emergence application or early post-emergence or your growth regulator, anything, or many crop boosters. So what should be the concentration? Is there any phytotoxic effect? So lot of things need to be standardized, but it is picking up. The main advantage is even if the soil is not workable, if it is raining after 2 days, you want to spray something on a clay soil, which is not at all possible. Now you can use your drone and you can spray it. So those kind of flexibility drone is giving, but lot of care we should take while spraying drones. No, instead of 100 liter of water, we are using only 10 liter for say very same amount of pesticide. So the spray droplets are 10 times toxic. So we should not inhale. We should put proper protection gear. We should not stand against the wind. All those precautions we should follow, as well as anybody comes for a training and all, we should make them understand. It is not easy. We should use carefully. Like, okay. So this is how they just wrote in one article, scientific robotics, science robotics, future farms without farms. Even in UK, one farm they are trying like this, one research farm. So everything will be done through sensors as well as automated vehicles and all. If this is not the case, in the recently concluded thing, they put Indian agriculture as smart farming agriculture, which will use lot of sensors like digital soil mapping, crop monitoring, then application of different nutrients as well as pesticides using drones and sending lot of advisory to the farmers, then sensor based irrigation, all those things encompassed. So we will move from the labor intensive to at least sensor intensive farming in the near future or at least in middle of this century. So thank you so much. This particular drone actually what they have used in IARI, this is RGB camera only just for demonstration they kept. But when we do analysis, then you have to do corrective action also, no? So now the technology is so fast. Now 5G network is coming. This drone is 5G enabled. They put a local 5G tower there. So the entire area was having 5G connectivity. While flying itself, it is processing and sending the data. The advantage of 5G over 4G is the speed at which you can transmit the data, you can analyze the data. So while it is flying, it is telling what is the thing. So things are moving very fast. IARI lab is recognized one of the 5G lab in India. Recently, Government of India, 100 labs they notified as 5G labs. One is IARI remote sensing lab also, 5G lab. So many things are happening. What is this crop?